Hi, welcome to Jovie's home. I post new videos on Tuesdays and sometimes on Thursdays. Today, we are doing a viewer requested video, and I thought this was a great idea. So we are going to be talking about the different modes of transportation and for people, okay, different modes of transportation in the Netherlands, how to get around, what is easy, what is less easy, etc., etc. So if that sounds good to you, then why don't you come on in, kick off your shoes and stay a while. I'm really glad you're here. Before we get into the different modes of transportation, let's talk about today's Dutch word of the day, and that is going to be transportatie. I feel like I have to say it like Google says it.
Transportatie.
Transportatie. Transportatie, which means transportation. Let's get into it. Did you guys hear that? My house is on a corner and they are building a road exactly like this around the corner. You're gonna see now, I took a little clip. There is literally no place in my house that I can go to escape this noise. So I'm really sorry if you guys are hearing that. I know it's distracting. It's very distracting for me. I'm not gonna lie. Also the shirtless workers that are just like doing a model fashion naked show are kind of distracting, but I'm gonna try to focus because that's what we do when we're professional. So let's talk about walking. There are plenty of nice sidewalks. So generally the roads here are divided. You have your spot for cars, you have your lanes for bicycles, and then you have your sidewalks for pedestrians. A lot of people walk. It's totally a normal and acceptable thing to do. People get around. It's what I did before we had a car, and it was great. There are a few tips that I do want to share though about walking. Make sure you are only walking on the sidewalk or the spot that is specifically for pedestrians. Don't be a jerk and walk in the bicycle lane. Oftentimes, the bicycle lanes are actually nicer or even better than the sidewalks, but don't be a jerk. If you have a sidewalk, use that. Some roads though, because of the they're too small to have all three lanes, they will have a spot for cars and then a spot for bicycles. A bike lane. If you are needing to walk on that kind of road and you're going to be walking down the bike lane, try to be like respectful and thoughtful and just stick to the very right hand side so that bicycles still have enough room to get around you if they are coming. Something that you see quite often is people walking and texting. Now, in a lot of places, this doesn't really matter because there's no one else walking with you. But if you're in a place like Amsterdam or Rotterdam, or a busy city center, and you have your face in your phone and you are not paying attention to all of the other people and things that are happening around you, you're being a and you are endangering not only yourself, but also others. So often you will see tourists or people who are not that familiar with where they're going. You know, maybe they'll be looking at Google Maps and not paying attention, and then they will step into a cycle lane, they're endangering the people on their bikes that are coming, that are not expecting you to jump into their lane. Speaking of experience, like when we have visitors from out of the country come in, I feel like I'm just corralling them all the time and being like, that's for the bikes, guys. Like, get on the pedestrian, get on the sidewalk. I'm like totally being the Karen of like, make sure we're on the sidewalk, you know? But it's for everyone's safety, and that's just how it works here. If you are gonna be walking around the Netherlands, don't be a dick, stick to your sidewalk, and don't just be in your phone, okay? When it comes to bikes are the most common mode of transportation here in the Netherlands. Pretty much everyone has a bike. There are more bikes than people. So just know this is like a very, very common mode of transportation. Because of that, cyclists have a very high priority in the country. And this is reflected also in some of the laws and the way that rules and rules and regulations are shaped in the Netherlands. So for example, if a car and a bicycle get into an accident, even if the bicyclist was 100% at fault, the way that the legal structure is shaped here makes it so that that bicycle driver can never be held more than 50% responsible. They are a good category of like vulnerable, what do you call it? Like vulnerable persons, or like they're in a vulnerable class because they're sharing roads with cars. Whether or not this is fair, up for discussion. The bottom line is that cyclists should follow the rules of the road. Sometimes they don't, but if you are coming and you plan on riding a bike, just follow the rules of the road. Yeah, easy, easy. You will see also a lot of mopeds here, which are like if a bike and a motorcycle had a baby, they would be the moped. Yeah, these people are also should not be in the bicycle lanes. They should be on the roads. Sometimes they are not. But you need a license to drive one. So make sure that if you're planning on coming here and maybe getting a moped, you know that you need to have a license to drive it. Last up, and I think this is really, really cool, it is the microcar. Europeans, please tell me if you are watching this from a country that is not the Netherlands, do you have these cars in your country? Because I have not seen it anywhere other than in the Netherlands. So this car to me is a Dutch car, but I understand that it's probably not. So please, 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 if you're watching this video and you tell me what country you're from and that you also have the microcars, because how cool is that? Anyway, a microcar is a car that looks like whatever Dan has put on the screen. And these cars can go a maximum of 45 kilometers an hour. And they are treated kind of like bicycles. They are not treated like cars. They're not allowed on the highway, and you know, they're common enough, but they're not like super, super common. Like you will see them. I don't see it maybe every day, but certainly once or twice a week I will see one. And in my experience, now please correct me if I'm wrong, it's mostly elderly people who are driving these cars because they either cannot drive a bicycle anymore, or for whatever reason the groceries are too heavy. But very often you will see them parked like right in front of the entrance of the supermarket. And it's just like a little two-seater car with like a little bit of trunk space. And it's kind of, yeah, I don't know. I don't know that much about microcars, but I find them fascinating. So let me know if you drive one, what that's like, and what the rules are. Do you need a driving license to drive a microcar, or is that really like a bike? Let us know in the comments below, because I think that's a really cool thing. Let's talk about public transportation. There are 4 kind of main types of public transportation, and those are the bus, the tram, the train, and the metro. But the cool thing is that all of these public transportation providers, they use one type of ticket, and that is called an OV chip card. So with these chip cards, as you get on and off your public transportation, you just beep a machine and you check in and you check out, and then the appropriate cost of your fare is deducted. It's very simple and very easy because there's this one system across the whole country. So no matter what part of the Netherlands you're in, you can use this card. You can have it directly linked to your bank account and it just deducts the amount. If you are not doing that, like if you have a temporary card, you're visiting, you are able to refill it. Sometimes on the trams, they will have their own like top-up machine, but certainly supermarkets, train stations, there's lots of different places within the Netherlands, within each town, city, where you can top up your card. So it's very easy to just always ensure that you have some money on there and you can get around. One thing I want to mention about the public transportation system here is that it is very reliable. It's pretty much running on time. It's clean for the most part, and it's safe. I know that there are people who are gonna say like, oh, but it's so annoying. Like Yeah, but if you compare to some other countries and you see how raggedy their system is, or how like dirty the place is, how it's not cared for, there's a whole new appreciation when you actually see how nice it actually is in the Netherlands. So overall, I'm really pleased with the public transportation. But if you're not, and feel free to air out your grievances in the comments below, and I will read them. If you don't know, and if you are new to the Netherlands, there are 2 really great websites that you can use to plan your entire journey with public transportation. They will be here on the screen. Thank you, Editor Dan. We will also link them below. The one that is the ns.nl, that really is just about checking train schedules only. And the other one, the 9292, it will give you it will plan your whole journey if you want, using all the different methods of transportation. So you put in your starting address, your ending address, and then it will tell you walk 2 minutes, and then take bus 12, and then go to the central station, and then take the metro number 5, and then once you get to whatever other station, then take tram number 16. So it will tell you really everything. It will also tell you the cost of your journey, the time, the arrival time, the departure time. It's really great. So if you don't know about those systems, they are absolutely worth it. Just download the apps on your phone, and it's great. So when it comes to cars are a very expensive mode of transportation in the Netherlands. And not just because a car is expensive, you're like, oh, I'm just gonna buy a cheap car. Yeah, okay, maybe you buy a cheap car, but let me tell you something. You are gonna pay a very high road tax every month. Your car insurance is gonna be pretty expensive. And also your petrol, your gas. It pains me to go to the gas station every week. It is so expensive. It's painful. It really is painful. It's painful enough to make you think, do I really want to take my car to this place, or do I want to walk or take a bike or take public transportation because it's going to save so much money? Honestly, it's expensive. I think if I didn't have 2 kids, little kids that the daycare can call at any time, or the school can call at any time, and you need to get somewhere quickly, I would not have a vehicle. I would not have a car here. It is also really expensive to get your Dutch driving license. Now, if you are coming from the EU or from an European Economic Area country, so like Switzerland or something that's not in the EU, but it's an EEA country, you are able to just swap your driving license from whatever country to a Dutch one. If you're coming in as an expat with the 30% ruling, check. There is a certain amount of days that you can swap your license. So I believe, don't get me wrong, I believe it's 180 days, so 6 months, that you can live in the Netherlands, and you have, in these first 6 months, you can swap your license for a Dutch one. On day 181, you lose this privilege, and then you, my friend, have to do all the lessons and all the classes and all the exams again. So if you're coming in with your 30% ruling and you're coming from a non-EU EEA country, swap your license so that you don't have to go through all the stuff. Speaking of exams and the driving license process, that is also really, really expensive here. Even if you are a driver for many years, I was driving for 20 years before I tried to get my Dutch driving license, and I still had to take the theory exam, which I failed the first time because it's hard. Then you have to do a few classes with a driving school, because the only way you can actually take your practical driving exam is through the school. They're the only ones that can sign you up for that, which also, those lessons are expensive. You have to pay for those. I was asked to take just a couple so that I could be more familiar with driving, sharing the road with bicycles. So I took a couple of classes, and then I went for my exam. First exam failed. And I'm like, how? I've been driving for 20 years. I am not a nervous driver. Watch that video that I mentioned before. But Yeah, I failed the first time, and then the second time I got my license. But that whole process like cost money because you have to pay for the exams, you have to pay for the lessons, you have to pay for all of it. So getting your license here is also an expensive and time-consuming process. So if you're able to swap your license, do it. And if you're not, if you're also just coming from the States like me and you want to drive, you're gonna just be mentally prepared for having to do a lot of work and paying a lot of money. Let me tell you something. In the city center of The Hague, if you go there with your car and you park in a parking garage, the daily rate, Vinny, come on. Like if you spend 6 hours, 6 or 7 hours there, you're gonna pay 30 euro to park there. 30 to park your car for a few hours. So if you're going to dinner and a movie and you're taking your car, you're gonna pay an extra 30 euro in parking fees, which is why? So expensive. I think in Amsterdam and maybe other bigger cities too, it's even more expensive. I know that when I was working in Amsterdam, in the World Trade Center, the daily rate, if you wanted to park, and that's not even in the city center of Amsterdam, but the daily rate was 75 euro. So if you parked your car for 24 hours, you were gonna pay 75 euro. So just be prepared that driving is friggin' expensive. And parking is part of that. You guys, I think that's it. I think that's all that I had for transportation in the Netherlands. Let me know if I missed something, or let us know if I missed something in the comments below. Help your fellow people who might be coming to visit the Netherlands or who are moving to the Netherlands and who might not know. Yeah, that's kind of it. I hope you found this video helpful. You guys, thank you so much for coming over today. Thanks for spending some time with me. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye. You guys, it is my goal to get to 20,000 subscribers by the end of 2020. So if you watch my videos and you are not subscribed, please consider just clicking that subscribe button. It doesn't really mean much for you, but it does mean a lot to me and Dan. So please give us a subscribe if you haven't. Give this video a thumbs up if you like it.